Hey, everybody. Today we have a wonderful opportunity to meet with Neil, a very good guy. I've gotten to see Neil in person even. Neil, tell us, reintroduce yourself to the community, and then we'll get on with our few minutes talking about a random question.
Sure. Neil Parekh. I work for a mid-size IT services advisory firm, executive vice president of professional services globally. Been in the service industry my entire career, nearly 30 years, from hands-on to advisory to executive leadership. So, been a great journey so far.
Well, good. I hope it continues for a lot longer, Neil. Let's not throw it in. All right, our question today, which I think is kind of fun, which is um, where do you like to for business trips? Where have you been? Where do you like to go? What are great trips you've been on? Because we all, throughout our careers, we have times when we travel a lot. Sometimes we don't. So, if you can think of something that you thought was really great.
Yeah, I kind of been lots of places from a business perspective. I recently just came back from Argentina, Buenos Aires, visited a team down there back in December. So, a couple months ago. It was their summer. Great trip.
Did you
Had a
get
lot
did
of
you get
fun.
some beef while you were
I
there?
got some beef steak, some good wine. That was a great experience, and they're gracious hosts down there and very friendly. So, highly recommend visiting there. Uh, your standard places, your big city places like New York and LA and Dallas and Houston. But you know, the the most fun I had is the smaller towns, like Birmingham, Alabama, and like Cleveland and things like that. That's just you kind of meet the people that you don't see kind of from a business perspective too often, unless you're in a business that serves a lot of customers there. I typically have not. We've been always in the big, the bigger markets or the secondary markets, but it's great, just
Yeah,
going down there and
it's nice to go to a smaller town once in a while. I was thinking when you were talking that we had a client. Well, I used to, as you know, I used to have a house just outside of Bordeaux, but I had a client that said we want to start this whole global transformation in our European business, and that's common in the U.S. And I said, and I wasn't really going to be that involved, but I said, well, where are you homed in Europe? Bordeaux. Oh, I'll come. So we did all the meetings at my house.
oh,
Oh, it
excellent.
was just wonderful. I got to serve wine. I got to have a chef come in. It was just great. But I love trips, as you said, to Argentina. I like to go overseas and experience the people. And of course, a lot of times they want to talk about America and Americans. And right now, if we went over, I'm sure we would be a very aggressive topic of of all the things that are going on in our country.
Absolutely. I mean, even I'm in Chicago, right? And born and raised and been in Chicago all my life. That's a topic when I go places, especially like if I go to like Birmingham, Alabama, right? They want to actually talk about Chicago and how it was like
Yeah,
their big
because
city,
Chicago right now has a rap of a lot of crime.
a lot of
And I've been to
crime.
Chicago a lot, and I've never had any problems there. Have you?
Yeah,
Been
uh,
any?
yeah. It gets a bad rap as you say, and it's funny because the rest of the country, like yourself, probably reads these things in the news about Chicago, and and the crimes are like in certain areas, right? They're not very gang ridden and
Yeah, yeah,
they're
it's not
certain
everywhere.
zones that
Every
no,
major town has areas you
yeah,
shouldn't
and,
go.
and, and they're tourists, like they're areas tourists would not go to anyway, or if you're a visitor, unless you have family in those areas. But when I was in Birmingham, Alabama, right, I kind of like talking to the people, and maybe if I have work to do, I'll go down and have a meal and then sit at the hotel bar and talk to somebody. And when I was, talking to someone next to me and the bartender, like, where are you from? I'm like, Chicago. And they said the same thing you just reacted to, like, "Oh, you have a lot of crime down there. You know that, right? Like how do you handle it?" I said, "Well, we have good police and all that." And then the one guy next to me opened his coat and he had like, a couple guns and said, "Well, if you had these down there, like if you were carrying this, you wouldn't have you
And,
wouldn't have
and,
a
and,
problem."
and full disclosure, I'm a Texan. I live in Texas. We see
Yeah,
a lot of guns, so I
yeah, yeah,
understand it completely.
yeah. And
That's
his
great. Hey,
example,
what if
like
you had these? That doesn't make you feel.
if you had this, like then you guys, if you everyone in Chicago carried these, there wouldn't be a problem. And I said, listen, I don't have an opinion on guns or whatnot, but if I had guns in my vest, it's not going to stop the people that are shooting each other where they're shooting each
No,
other.
no, no. The
I'm
problem
not
is
going there. I'm
I'm
not
probably
going
going to shoot myself.
right,
That would
right,
be mine.
right.
I
So,
think one of the funnest trips I was on is I had to go to Milan for a meeting, and it was a big one of the big accounting firms. But they had put the visitors in a really cool hotel. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was a hotel that only had like 10 rooms, right? And it was up on the hill, and everybody had a butler. And after staying there for a week, I was like, I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to, I just wanted to hang out. Of course, the meeting was over, and I'd have to pay for it myself, so that would be.
right,
But
right.
I love that you got down to Argentina. I think that's just a great country. Have you done much Japan or China anything?
Personally, I have not for business, but yeah, just last year, end of 23, my family and I went to India for a couple of weeks, but we had a layover in Japan on Christmas. So we spent Christmas in Japan overnight, in Tokyo, and kind of hung out, and so it was a quick trip through Japan and on the way to India. Then we spent 2 weeks in India, Taj Mahal, and touring all the
The whole
great
time,
sites.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And even 2 weeks is not enough in India. It's
not enough.
just
It's not
so
enough.
up in the mountains where the beautiful lakes are. It's a very interesting country. Well, listen, Neil, I really appreciate this. I love getting together with you, and I love sharing a few stories about everywhere we've been. I think the point maybe we leave everyone is take time when you are traveling to enjoy the local, what's really going on. Don't just work. And one thing we try to do is, with our people, and you don't always have this chance, is try to get them to stay somewhere interesting and nice, right? Don't just ship them out to London and make them work the whole time and come back and they didn't learn anything. Let's enrich their lives a little bit.
Yeah, and it's better for business too because you understand there's humanity around the world in every city you go to, and it makes you a better leader and a better person. I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
always
I
trying to
totally
learn.
support that. Yep.
All right, so great seeing you, and we'll see you again soon.